One thing you can always count on when April comes around is tax time. But this year, it's a little bit different. Andrew Rafal is here from Bayntree Wealth Advisors. Thanks for being with us.
Of course, it's always great to be here.
So the extension is now April 18th for you to file your taxes, but that does not mean that your deadline to pay has been extended, right?
This is true. You know, we try to impress upon everybody to be proactive with taxes and don't procrastinate, but we know the common fact is people do. So at least this year, you do have 3 extra days to get your taxes in. But if you do owe and you do delay your taxes and file an extension, you got to make sure that you get what you owe the tax man in on time.
Absolutely. And you want to be organized. So the best time to get organized is not the night before.
Correct.
I plan to do that this week. What's the #1 tip you have for people in terms of getting things together? Because you have receipts flying all over the place, and you know you need to have everything cohesive, right?
Yeah, I think starting in January and waiting for your 1099s from income that you've pulled out from retirement accounts, looking for your W-2s that are sent out, making sure if you took money out of retirement accounts that you do show that. Also, in years where you took out and you paid money on capital gains and so forth, getting things organized. A lot of times we're using technology now. Technology is helping us stay organized and on top of things, and doing it throughout the year is critical rather than waiting again for that 23rd hour.
I still do it old school, though. I write everything down and save my receipts, but it does go beyond the W-2 forms. You know, you get all kinds of end of the year tax statements in the mail, and sometimes people wonder, well, what does this exactly mean, and do I need to turn this in?
Correct. And with 1099s from brokerage companies, a lot of times they'll send out one in February, and then they'll send amended one out later in the month or even here in March. So make sure before you give your 1099 to your CPA or you're doing your own taxes, make sure you go online to see that it's the most amended one. Because we're seeing now a lot of these companies send out 2 and even 3 amended 1099. So you always want to make sure that you're giving the most accurate one, because at the end of the day, the IRS will always win, and you've got to be on top of things.
You have to stay on top of it. Also, I found out in going through your various tips that you're supposed to max out your IRA contributions, and that means that you still have time to do that as well, right?
Correct. So you have till April 15th to max out your IRA or your Roth IRA contribution. This year, it's still $5,500, and those that are over 50, there's an additional $1,000 that you can do. It's called the catch-up. So you can do as much as $6,500. You can't do $6,500 in both the IRA and the Roth. It's a combination, and that's the max. Also, when we look out at tax credits, this is something that they instituted last year for the Arizona tax credits.
Yes.
Used to be you have to get it in by December 31st. Well, they added on an extra that if you didn't do the public or the private or the working poor tax credits, you now have until April to do that as well.
A lot of people don't realize that that's been extended. Explain the working poor tax credit, because I think a lot of people still are unfamiliar with what exactly it means.
So a tax credit is actually a dollar for dollar reduction against your taxes. So what we tell our clients or friends and family is that if you owe taxes to the state of Arizona, you're going to have to pay it. But the working poor allows a husband and wife to, as a joint filer, to add $400. So instead of that money directed to the state of Arizona, you can direct it to charities like Phoenix Children's Hospital, Ronald McDonald House. There's over 4,000 different charities. So there's not many no-brainers in life.
Sure.
This is one where you can direct your tax dollars to something that's meaningful, and then hopefully that foundation or that charity group will do something really well. The same bodes for the public and the private school. You're directing money that you're going to be paying anyway. You're directing it dollar for dollar to the school that means something to you.
Well, it's an opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. I know that you also talked about being able to claim investment losses from previous years. Didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, so last year, unfortunately, a little bit tougher year in the market. So if you did lose on some stocks, you can actually use that to offset against gains that you did have. If you didn't have any gains in a year, you can actually carry over a loss into the next year, and you can use up to $3,000 to offset ordinary income. So it's one of those things that it kind of, you know, puts a little Band-Aid on something. When you did have a loss, it allows you to actually take some credits against it.
And you can maximize your deductions, but I think some people might be a little unfamiliar with what kinds of deductions there are out there for them.
Yep. When you look at, maximizing deductions, the easy one is a 401k contribution. You can put away up to $18,000 there. When you look at, if you do have a financial advisor and you're paying a fee for financial planning or tax planning, if you do itemize, those are deductions that you can actually use. Others are if you're self-employed and you work from home, you can actually have a home office deduction. You got to be careful on that though, because there's certain percentages that you have to use. So make sure if you're doing that, work with a licensed tax professional that can really guide you there. And then, look at itemizing things. If you are, using things for work and so forth, you can use a car allowance and the car mileage. You can write off cell phone, internet, those type of things.
Great advice as always. No excuses to procrastinate, because you've heard it here, some great tips. And if you still have questions, you can go to Bayntree.com. Andrew Rafal, thank you so much. On Twitter, Rafal Retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see you.